Well, in case you missed it this morning before we got into our daytime session, USDA did have another overnight export sale announcement, but it was a little bit unusual because this time it was hard red winter wheat. The amount was 130,000 tons. It went to unknown destinations, so we don't know who bought it just yet. Anyway, a couple of boatloads equivalent of hard red winter wheat that was sold. And the market's really responding positively to everything this morning on the grains. Let's take a look at where we are in the corn market here. And currently on the corn trade on the big board in Chicago, we have September 5 higher at 329.5. Now that is on the high of the day as we speak. So is December. It's at 343.5 per bushel. That's up 5.5 cents. Soybean trade also sharply higher this morning. Look at this, September 10.5 higher at 907.5, only one tick off our high of the day. And November new crop soybeans now gaining 11 cents. We're quoted at 909 3/4, also on the high of the day. This is all happening as the Pro Farmer Crop Tour is now getting well underway in the Midwest. Let's take a look at our wheat market. Let's start in Chicago. We'll begin with that September contract. It's 15 higher. That's 1.5 higher at 5.15 per bushel. Almost on the high of the day. We're only a couple of ticks away from it. How about Kansas City wheat? Well, right now you have that September contract 10 higher at 4.35 1/4. That's the one that had that overnight export sale, of course. Minneapolis spring wheat now September 6 1/4 higher at 5.03 3/4. The cotton market has that new crop December contract now 72 points higher at 63.57 cents per pound. Well, let's go to Chris Swift, Swift Trading Incorporated, based in Nashville, Tennessee. And Chris, bullishness everywhere you look in the grain markets. That's been kind of rare here lately, the last several weeks. But it seems to come at kind of an odd time after a bearish report and where we're just on the threshold of fall harvest kicking in here. How's it doing that?
I'm not real sure, but I think that storm, we've had enough time to go by where people have actually been able to get out into the fields, see what kind of damage has or has not been done. And although it is some significant damage, not all of it has gone to waste. So you'll be able to cut some of it from silage. You'll be able to build some fences around some of it and even put cows out in it. But it'll be interesting with today's crop progress to see if I don't think that will have anything to do with it. But as we move forward and with that Pro Farmer Crop Tour out there, we'll probably start to hear some definitive information about how bad that storm really impacted.
One thing I want to draw everybody's attention to is the fact that you do have the U.S. dollar value on the U.S. dollar index now showing September futures at 92.800. That's down another 285 points. I mean, that is getting really, really low, and that could help prompt maybe some ag exports.
Oh, no doubt whatsoever. And we've seen that. That is resuming the downtrend in the dollar, and that should help tremendously as we move forward.
All right, and there's a look at our 6-month pattern on the dollar index, really making new lows the way it looks. All right, we're going to come back here in just a moment, Chris. We'll open up our livestock trade and take another peek at it and see if it's hanging on to those small gains we had early on in the live cattle. We'll look at that right after this. Well, we're talking with Chris Swift of Swift Trading Incorporated. He is based in Nashville. And Chris, as we look at our livestock summary from last Friday, of course, we ended up the week with the cash cattle market on a very strong note, really. We gained several dollars versus what we had the previous week. It looks like we were up again on Friday. And last check, we had prices as high as $106 per hundredweight on a live basis. We had some sales all the way up to $171 per hundredweight on a dress basis last week out there in the plains. That you would think would give a pretty firm floor of support underneath the cattle futures here right now.
Well, and it has so far, and we believe that they might be able to expand on that a little bit more this week. And we know that the lack of placements through the March-April time frame is creating some lack of fed cattle, finished fed cattle right along this time frame. And, of course, we're always wondering where that other 500,000 heads still lies out there at the tremendous weights, and we think that those are just being worked in at a very slow rate. So you really do probably have just a tiny bit of shortage, but it's now gotten to a time frame where you won't be able to process too much more meat before the Labor Day weekend.
Live cattle right now on the August contract are 7 cents higher, but the active October contract is 32 cents higher. We're at 110.55. and that is one tick under its high of the day. We have December at 113.42 per hundredweight. On the feeder cattle market today, we started out with it mixed, and we still are. August feeders now 30 cents lower. We're at 143.62 per hundredweight. And September down 35 at 146.22, but the deferreds are still a little higher if you go out to November and beyond. January is actually up 45 cents per hundred right now. On the lean hog trade, we have the nearby October contract 32 cents higher. We're at 53.35, and we have December now up a dime at 54.72. All the deferred months are higher, but only by one or two or three ticks or so, and that's about it. Pretty quiet. October leading the way up 32 cents. Chris, we thank you for the time. Good to visit with you again, and look forward to next time as well. Chris Swift is with Swift Trading Incorporated, and they are based right here in Nashville. Janet?
Thank you very much, Marlin. Well, the National FFA organization will host the 93rd National Convention and Expo as a virtual experience this fall. The event will allow FFA members across the country to connect more than ever before. Let's hear from the National Officer team about what you can expect at this year's convention.
So the 2020 National Convention is completely virtual this year. If you're like me or my team, you probably have a couple questions, like why do we convene every year? As an organization, we've been convening for 93 of them. As FFA members, we've been called to a level of leadership that is unlike any